Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mindfulness at Lunch. My name is Angie Chu. I'm the founder and CEO of Brown Center. So, how are all of you feeling today? As it's the start of another week, but a short week as we have a public holiday right in the middle of this week. So, I'll be glad to hear from you how you're doing. Yeah, and I decided to put this background up. It was a hotel that I stayed when I visited Phuket. It was beautiful. This was the view that I had. Well, I can only look at pictures now as it will be some time away before we can travel again. And accepting that fact helps us to focus on the things that we can actually do instead of focusing our mind on what we can't do and then make ourselves feel upset or unhappy. So, in the meantime, I have been visiting museums and takes walks in the nature reserve of Bukit Timah, cycling, reading up on materials that I otherwise wouldn't have time to. So once we start to focus our mind on what we can do, there are lots of things that actually could keep us very motivated and also well informed. So you don't always have to focus on news on COVID because there's so many other things that are going on in our own world that we can focus on and spend some time, quality time, picking up new skills and cultivating new hobbies like even gardening, um, sewing, handicraft, handyman work, carpentry. So the list is limitless when we start to focus our mind on what we can actually do. So thank you for some of the comments that have come in. Good afternoon. Yes, feeling good. Looking forward to this session. Thank you very much. And I'm going to now suggest that everyone just place a hand on their chest. This is where our heart is. Now, it is not the physical heart that we're connecting with, but rather our emotional heart. So somehow we feel a lot of emotions right in our chest area. When we are not happy, this area seems a little bit tense, or when we're frightened, or when we're angry, there's a lot of tension in this area. So let's put our hand here for a little while and just sense into how this part of our body feels. How does it feel for you? Okay. So I'm going to now take you through a practice called the 10 finger gratitude practice. And this is a great practice every day to do as it helps to remind us all the things that we can be grateful for. Because it's so easy for our mind to wander into the space on what is not going right. There's so many things going right in our life, but we often forget. So let's now train our mind to focus on what is going right and bring the sense of gratitude, build a sense of focusing on the happiness that we have in our life. Okay. Thank you for those of you who have responded to say that now it's feeling a bit tight and anxious in the chest area. Yes, that is very common, especially when you're doing work that you don't enjoy or you're doing work that you feel very uncomfortable or lacking in a sense of confidence. That usually does come up. So I'm going to address that later on. Okay, so now let's make sure we have all our 10 fingers as we're going to use our 10 fingers for this gratitude practice. And now we're just going to hold our left thumb with our right hand. And before we start, just take 3 beautiful deep breaths. And now holding our left thumb with our right hand and bring to mind an aspect of your health that you're grateful for. Reminding ourselves the fact that we can actually tune in into this program That means our body is well enough. Something indeed to be grateful for. And now moving on to holding our second finger and bring to mind an organ in this body that you're grateful to have it working in good order right now. And whichever organ that is, just sense into where it's located in your body and send a little thank you to it. And moving on to the third finger and holding on to the third finger and bring to mind another area of the body or organ that you're grateful for. Like I'm grateful to my knees that they still work. As I'm able to then walk, climb stairs, squat, bend my knees. And now holding on to the fourth finger and bring to mind an aspect of your family that you're grateful for. It could even be someone that in your family that you're grateful to have. And now moving on to the last finger and bring to mind another family member that you're grateful to have in your life. Now changing over and holding your right thumb and bring to mind a friend that you're grateful to have in your life. And moving on to the second finger, holding on to the second finger and bring to mind a colleague that you have at work. And if you're working at home, perhaps you're a domestic worker that you're grateful to have in your life. And holding on to the third finger of your right hand, bring to mind an aspect of your job that you're grateful for. Holding on to the fourth finger, bring to mind an aspect of your home that you're grateful for. And holding on to the last finger, bring to mind an aspect of Singapore that you're grateful for. And now bring all the 10 fingers and place them on your chest. And feel the sense of gratitude. And to be grateful for the presence of this breath. As this breath is what makes all the 10 things and people that you've just been reminded of to be grateful in your life. Without this breath, none of these people or things matter anymore. And now just sense into your chest how your chest feels at the moment. Is it more relaxed now? And now place your hands on your lap and just drop into your breath, sensing your beautiful breath. feeling grateful to be alive. One day this breath will stop. Between now and then, we have limited time. So focusing on how we spend our time on things and people that really matter will bring more happiness into our life. So now is focusing on this breath and just letting the mind rest. This has probably been doing so much thinking all morning. Just sensing to how this beautiful breath enters through your nostril or your mouth, filling up your lungs. And this breath then diffuses into the rest of your body, supplying oxygen to all your organs, every cell in the body. This breath, so small, yet so powerful, so critical to our life. So let's sit for a few minutes and just being grateful to have this breath. Whatever sounds there are, accept them, that they are part of your environment. Whatever thoughts pop up in your mind, that's normal. Having the awareness enables you to focus your mind on the breath, an object of your choice. Just be aware of where your mind is, and just very gently and kindly refocus on the breath if it has wandered off. And if it helps you to focus better, just count your breaths. Each breath, count it. If thoughts come up in your mind, that is very normal because your mind is so used to just thinking. Be accepting. That's the habit of the mind. And just refocus on the breath. In this silence, you become aware of what your mind is preoccupied with. But thoughts are just random. Most of the thoughts are not facts. And thoughts have no power over you unless you give them power by paying attention or engaging them. So if thoughts arise and you just watch the thought arise, then the thought will just disappear. That's what thoughts are like. It doesn't hang around unless you engage it. These are not your thoughts. They're just thoughts. Some of them are just words that people have spoken to you, something you've read or seen. So watch these thoughts from a distance. You are not your thoughts. And now just sensing to how your body is feeling and what you discovered about your mind, and focusing on 3 more breaths. And open your eyes and smile. Okay, so I love to hear from you. How did that go for you? What did you discover about your body and your mind? And I have one comment here. Thank you. I'm grateful to you, Angie, and other staff who offer their time to strangers. Grateful to Brown Center. Thank you very much. Okay, and there's another comment that's coming. A very wandering mind. It's all over the place. Okay, you have a very normal mind. But what it means that the mind can be trained. The mind can be present or more present as you do more mindfulness practices. But it will take effort and commitment. So that's why we encourage people to take a course, because you learn it in a more structured way and you usually don't do such a long session if it's the first time. So I would highly recommend the Mindfulness Foundation course, which I believe there are couples starting in the first week of June. So give it a go. Wonderful. You have signed up for it. Thank you for that follow-up comment. Another thought here, thoughts on work and my bicycle that I hope to buy. Yes. Yes. So your mind actually makes suggestion to you and creates an impulse. So this is very important for us to understand how the mind works and the impulses these thoughts generate. And by sensing what the impulse is, for us to be able to pause and evaluate, helps us to have more self-control as to whether, is that a good thought? Shall I follow it? Or shall I just act on impulse? When we stop acting on impulses, it will help us to make better choices and decisions. People who are very impulsive tend to make lots more mistakes. And I think when we were young, we probably made more mistakes because we were impulsive. But as we get older, we have a more developed brain, And it actually enables us to have the ability to pause. But if you have not been trained to pause and you consistently act on impulse, that's when we tend to make more errors in life. Okay, thank you for all your comments. And there's one question here: how to sign up for the basic mindfulness course for myself and 16-year-old granddaughter? Well, you can just go online. I can type the link for you. It's actually called, well, it's the on Eventbrite, and you can pay online with your credit card. Yeah, so I've typed the link for you to use. Thank you for all your comments. If you have any questions, I'll be delighted to answer. There's one in the Q&A. How do I follow the breath? Can you help me visualize? So we don't recommend you visualizing. We recommend you to sense, because sensing helps us to have a greater or heightened awareness. It's just that it's like when we're able to sense some parts of our body are uncomfortable, or there is a pulling sensation or a tension there, then we pay attention to it. Visualizing doesn't enable us to do that. Now, how do we follow our breath? Just pause and observe your body breathe. Your body is always breathing, but a lot of times you may not be aware of it because the head is so busy, and that's where you are most of the time. So when you just pause, drop into your body and just sense, you can observe your body breathing. Okay, now for anything to improve in life, we have to have patience and trust. Just as an example, when I cut my finger the other day, I had to first be aware that I had snipped my finger, and then to do the appropriate thing, which is stop the bleeding, um, put a plaster on it, or do a antiseptic wash. And because it's on the finger, it tends to get wet. So I would have to change the plaster. And that's to take care of this cut on the finger in order for it to recover well. There's no point in being upset or being angry, whether it's the finger or myself, because it has happened. So events happen in our life. It's accepting it. And that's what we mean by accepting it. It's not giving up. Rather, it's about focusing our attention on what is it that we need to do now under the circumstances. So by tending to it, I was able to let my finger heal in a better condition by trying to keep it dry. And when it wasn't dry, having the awareness that it wasn't dry is to remove that plaster and replace it. And then give it time and trust the body is going to do the cell repair. So in relationships, it's the same. When we are aware that something is not right, do the appropriate constructive thing and then give it time. Give the relationship time to heal. You can't rush it just because you decided now that you're going to be kind and you're going to be generous and you're going to be forgiving. It takes time for relationships to heal, like our body as well. Trust that everyone in this world wants to have a good relationship. We do. A lot of times our relationships don't heal. It's because we're impatient and we're not honest. We're not honest about how we feel, and we're not honest in listening to feedback. Honesty is required. To be able to accept honesty is a gift. And for someone to be able to give us their honesty is a precious gift. Because if we're not honest about it, the issues that are in front of us, then we're not actually being able to heal it. So how do we bring about honesty? Is to be accepting of whatever is told to us instead of getting defensive. That is the person's honesty, to be accepting instead of trying to defend or put across our view. Instead, it's about understanding how that person feels or perceives the situation. Then we're getting somewhere. So don't be afraid of honesty. It is there. The issues persist. Even if we want to run away from it, pretend it's not there, it doesn't go away. And people are sometimes not open to us is because they feel we're not able to accept honesty. And we end up encouraging the person to lie. That's how lying comes about. When we blow up or we get upset when someone's being honest to us, then the person learns that honesty doesn't pay because they get the brunt of our emotions. So when we ask for opinion and feedback, is to be able to take a pause, listen, be non-judgmental, and focus on what the issues are and how to best tackle them. And that's how we can improve a lot of the situations that we're in and the relationships that may be a little bit rocky. So trust yourself to be able to take that honesty and trust the other person comes from a good place. Because in relationships, truth and honesty is the basis of trust. So I hope that little talk motivates you to look at things with an honest perspective. Okay, so I have some questions here. Is it normal or possible that we would never get used to a pandemic? We are getting used to it, aren't we? If we're not getting used to it, it's because the mind is rejecting the truth. The truth is there is a pandemic. And putting aside judgment instead of would help us to be accepting and therefore focus on what is it that we can do. Think out of the box. There are a lot of creative ideas that can come about when we have a mind that's calmer and clearer. So yes, it's very possible to accept that there is a pandemic. I tend to observe, another question here is, I tend to observe that my breathing is shallow. Well, as long as your body is still alive, that's fine, especially when your body is being relaxed and your breathing starts to become more shallow. That's normal. Or slower. So as long as your body is still getting enough oxygen, it's fine. Another question is, how is it that I seem to breathe harder when I focus on my breath? Okay, very good question. It means that you are doing the breathing. What you're to do is just to observe. Like now your body's breathing and you just observe, pause. See, your body's breathing. So you don't have to do the breathing because if you were required to do the breathing, your body would have died a long time ago. Because a lot of times we're not aware of our body breathing. Okay, and on the other side of chat, I was a bit stressed before the talk started. I'm more cool and calm after the body scanning. Thank you. Thank you for your comment, Aileen. And another question here. A friend asked me this morning if she could learn more about being we are our parents damaged goods. Where can I direct her? There's a lot of hurt and resentment in her. Well, this was a statement my brother made to all of us one day that we're all our parents' damaged goods. And I kind of paused and, is that true? Absolutely. Because we, the people who are closest to us or the people we respect most are our parents. And we do so much learning from them. It's like in every animal species, the young learn from their parents. So we learn from our parents, the good and the bad. And when our parents don't have very good skills, we also pick up those bad skills. And this usually gets brought down from their generation to our generation, and then we pass on to the next generation. So if our parents had been abused when they were young and they didn't have the awareness to step out of that cycle, then chances are we too will get abused. And then we will end up abusing our kids. So it's really important for us to have that awareness to be able to choose a new response and cultivate new habits. And to do that, we need awareness. Yeah. So, where can you direct her? Perhaps she could take a mindfulness course to have her own awareness being tuned up, and then to start to understand herself, and that would help her to understand her parents. And this is how I start to understand my parents instead of blaming them for what they did, because it was through understanding myself, my mind, my own reactions, my habits, and how they came about. Okay, there's a question. Why can't I see other people's chat? Well, that's because they chose to only send it to me. That's why. So they send it to me in private. Another question here. Will there be any upcoming MBCT online courses? Well, in fact, there are MBCT online courses offered by other organizations, and I had also previously offered it, and I have been conducting them in person. And I found that it's far more effective and the people gain a whole lot more. So I have decided not to conduct online MBCT or MBSR courses unless there's really no choice. This current phase 2 restrictions is not a lockdown. So that means we can still be attending courses and I can still be conducting courses. So there's no So don't deprive yourself of the best environment to learn mindfulness. So please come to the center or go to the Grand Hyatt where I offer it. Okay? Next question. How do we cope when someone is so honest to tell you your bad habits and attitudes very frequently and it becomes stressful? Well, that's a very good question. What the person is doing is symptomatic of the unhappiness he has about the relationship. So, what may be a good thing for you to do is to sit him down and say, okay, so I know you're complaining about my habits and my attitude. Tell me, what are you really unhappy about? What is it about our relationship that you're really unhappy about? Because chances are there's something deeper there. And because he's not able to tell you what is really hurting him, what is really affecting him, then it just becomes a reaction and then picking on your habits or picking on things that are not he feels right about you. Okay, so go layer and layer and go down another layer and you'll find what is the real underlying cause. Okay, and then I see another question here. Will there be this program on during the public holiday? Yes. So the program is also on. Eric will be leading that on Wednesday. Another question here. How long does the average person take to learn to meditate? I just want to get an idea. Well, you have just started to learn how to meditate. It is something that we will do continuously throughout our life. It's like asking a question, how long does it take for someone to learn to brush your teeth? Well, once you learn how to brush your teeth, you can improve on brushing your teeth. And once you have mastered it, you keep brushing. Because meditation is to clean up our mind. And our mind gets so much junk every day that it needs a really good clean at the end of each day or the start of the day. So it's not something once you master it, you're not going to do it anymore. It's like brushing our teeth. Every day our teeth gets used and it collects all the food crumbs or whatever, and then we have to clean it up. Okay, so thank you for your questions, and I hope this session has been helpful. So I'd just like to invite you to take 3 deep breaths. Taking 3 deep breaths is something you can always do. So I'd like to now just share screen with you to highlight to you what is coming up. So this Saturday, there is going to be a talk in the morning on MBSR to relieve stress, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction, and the pathway to becoming a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. Next week, there is a psychiatrist speaking on mental health tips for working from home. So you can access this on our Facebook page or our website. And there is a therapeutic yoga course starting on 8th of June at our Brown Center Tampines. And I conduct Saturday morning body and mind sessions. So please sign up. There's Asia Pacific Mindfulness Conference coming up. And right now, there are already 50 webinars and 26 workshops curated. There's a 50% early bird discount. So please support the conference as all the webinars are free. If you're a volunteer with Brown Center or any SSA, it's only $96. So thank you and have a good week. See you again. I believe my next slot is Thursday. Bye.